What's up, everybody? We are live with another lunch break. I am joined by someone incredibly special today, Mr. Vincent. Hey, Lanci. Man, I always screw this up every time we go live. One second, let me mute. All right, we're doing it live. So today, as you probably know if you've joined any of these, we got to mute everything. Um, I have a different guest on to join me for lunch, a virtual lunch. And so today I've got a very special guest, Vincent A. Lanci. He has an incredible story. He woke up in a coma in the hospital, didn't know what was going on, was all sorts of out of his element, and he's had a long road to recovery. So he rehabilitated. He learned what happened, and then he now goes around speaking to audiences. He wrote a book, and he's a very inspiring person, just from his story about how failure is never an option. You can't quit. You just have to keep going. So he's got a book. He's got two podcasts. He's just an amazing guy. I'm honored to have him on today for another lunch break live. Vincent, what's going on, my man?
Alexander, great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So tell me, like, wow, you told me about your background, and I was just kind of blown away. What happened? What's the story?
Back in 2013, it was a few days before what should have been my last semester as an undergraduate. We went out to celebrate my friend's birthday over on Soho. I left. I decided to walk home. That way I wouldn't get in the car with somebody drinking or drink and drive myself. And that short walk home almost turned into a death sentence as I was hit by a car while walking from behind that evening. And like you said, woke up about a week later out of a coma, very confused, not sure what was going on. Ended up living in the hospital for about a month as well. And the road to recovery began.
Wow, that's crazy. So so waking up in the hospital like that, what was going through your mind? Like what happened?
A lot I don't remember in the first, half of the experience between the brain bleeding and the amount of drugs they've given you to deal with the incident. I had traumatic brain injuries. For everybody who's not sure at that, it's a pretty significant injury that alters the way your brain thinks, as well as a metal rod in my leg to straighten out. I had a broken tib and fib to get the leg back. So day by day, piece by piece, you start to recover inpatient because you want to recover quickly, but it's been about 7 years now, and there are still changes of the last few years of recovery.
Yeah. Well, and just knowing you for the short time that we've known each other, uh, you know, it seems like you're on your A game. You're more productive and happier and more positive than a lot of people that I know. So, how did you take that really negative life event and kind of turn things around?
Yeah, so I looked at it as two ways. Either you sit and sulk, which is option A, crying, why me? Why did something life changing happen? I didn't deserve this, that whole category. Or you turn something horrible into something positive because your story I learned can inspire other people. I didn't really accept that or understand it at first, that people going through similar situations, an extra voice can pay a large dividend. So I start to do it more. And I realized how many people it's starting to help. So kind of why I created the two podcasts as well. One for entrepreneurs, what it's really like to be an entrepreneur, to inspire future entrepreneurs through our successes, our failures, our stories, and then a mental health break with Vincent A. Lanci. I interview influencers, doctors, and people who are open to speaking about their mental health to help other people battling depression, anxiety, for example, schizophrenia, all of that good stuff to help them.
Yeah, and mental health, that's one of my passions from, being mentally ill sometimes, but really, experiencing corporate burnout, that's what kind of led me to start Lunch Pool.
Mhm.
And tell me about some of the guests that you've had on your podcast, and some of the interesting tidbits about mental health that you've helped unearth and share.
Yeah, so I run through a little bit of a structure on each show so the guests can expect consistency. They can start to get involved in the show and relate to each guest. I talk about short term goals, long term goals for people to start improving their mental health, create a more positive mental headspace. I also introduce a story of someone in the limelight, per se, who has battled form of mental illness to show everybody that you're not alone. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how popular you are in the limelight, doesn't mean you're happy. So it kind of gives the listeners a key to a way for them to relax, realize it will be okay. And it's been a great chance to network. As far as me being hit by a car, I want to expand my network to speak to more audiences, to kind of share my story, to help them tap into the potential they may not see at first. And these doctors are helping me do that. And these influencers and these patients help me reach a whole new audience of people who say, hey, maybe I could hear somebody else's story to get through the day.
Yeah, and
Try to do my part.
exactly, and I think that that's so important. Is we all go through struggles, we all go through trials. Maybe not as sometimes serious as traumatic brain injury,
Hmm.
but we all have the things that we're battling each day. So I think that what you're doing, sharing your story, and using it to inspire others to tell their stories, I think it's super important. So
It's been fun. It's been exceeding my expectations, both in quality and as how much work is involved to producing just one episode.
oh yeah,
But it's all worth it because people are reaching out to me saying they appreciate the content and the network's starting to grow. I had you on, I believe, episode 2 or 3.
oh yeah,
Season one's almost over in 2 weeks, where I do a 3 month season, season 1, 2, 3, or what have you. But it's been great, man. I'm just trying to help some people along the way because I know how hard it is with a marketing budget as an entrepreneur, even to spend that in marketing, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, what have you, if it's even going to be the correct audience that sees that. So at least this is entrepreneur marketing and mental health marketing. It's in the realm, at least, of where I need to be.
yeah. No, I think that you're doing it right, and you have a ton of followers, a ton of fans. But the message is, I think, so critical, so crucial. I think it was at the end of the podcast you said, you kind of had your closing remarks, and you said, giving up is never an option. And I think that those words, especially me being an entrepreneur, they really resonated with me, and I think that that's an awesome message.
Sometimes it just helps. It's things you hear all the time in your own head. We spoke about it on one episode. I forget who was the guest, where you can help a friend through the situation, no problem. You see the situation, you say, hey, this is what you should do. But to do it for yourself sometimes is an entirely different story. So if you just backtrack, take a deep breath, you hear somebody else, maybe it will click. Everybody
Yeah.
resonates with different stories, different perspectives. So on the show, I try to have second year startups all the way up to 20-year entrepreneurs because each story is different. It can resonate and help inspire here and there.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's it's crucial. It's sharing the human experience, like we're doing right now. We're not together for lunch in person.
No,
I hope we will be able to soon when I'm down in Tampa.
that'd be great.
But just experiencing the realness, the ups, the downs, I feel like, I don't know how you feel, but with Instagram and Facebook and the rise of social media, we all have our behind the scenes that we're experiencing each day. And
Yeah.
but what we're seeing on online and on our feeds is, oh, so and so had a baby and this person went on a vacation, and just all the good stuff, which isn't bad, but you miss a lot of the gritty humanity. And
Yeah. 100%. I try to, because as the followers grow, I try to just create new content. I'll put up maybe a picture or video on my story of me actually editing one of the episodes, or just try to engage with people because you do appreciate the support you gain in any entrepreneurial endeavor, really anything. As it grows, I try to keep people in the loop, but recording the episode will be about a half hour, then listening it through once and editing it. The social media is, it's a whole nother job, which comes up a lot, just trying to figure out this world of social media. It's
oh yeah.
impossible. It
Yeah,
takes so much time.
like you said, who are the people that you need to reach, and how do you reach them? What are some of the things that you've done to kind of figure out who your audience is? I know you're still figuring it out, but
Yeah.
it's how did you kind of tackle that early on?
Kind of just through networking. Everything I'm doing is networking, even for the show, a simple DM. A lot of people are scared of a cold call or just a DM when your life does not change if they don't answer. So just growing, learning from other people, big believer in paying it forward, learning a little bit, then paying that info forward, doing a favor, paying the favor forward. And I just kind of network to find out how are you doing it? How can I learn from you? How can I improve my skill sets? And then it
Yeah.
trickles down exactly to the podcast of what that goal is. Just circle, continue paying it forward.
Yeah, no, that's it's a the circle of life, right? And
Yes, yes.
I mean, you said something that my last guest. So the last lunch break I had was with Carlos from Carlos Eats, and I'm curious, like, how does one become a foodie influencer? Like, how do you approach restaurants and be like, I'm gonna eat your food for free and tell people about it, and then somehow you get paid as well. And his solution was just ask. Like, if you are interested in that, if you want to go to an event and sample some of their food, you gotta ask. You gotta get over that fear of rejection that holds a lot of us back. Um, so I'm glad to hear that it's the same thing with building a podcast.
It takes time over years to finally really appreciate that thought of it's not going to change me negatively if I just take the chance and I do it. And a lot of doors wouldn't have opened if you don't take those chances. Granted, half of my podcast network, I try to use my warm referrals, my warm leads that are coming from some of my circle, but a lot of them are just taking a shot in the dark, saying, "Hey, this is my goal of the podcast. I want to help other people. I want to help market my guests because, like we spoke about, finding marketing for people who even really care about the entrepreneurship is a whole nother battle."
Oh yeah.
So,
Who's your like big fish? Who's the guest that you want to have on the podcast that's like, I've made it now?
that's a good question. I mean, really, anybody with a story. It doesn't have to be a 40-year entrepreneur. I care about the meat of the story, the content. What can I give to pay it forward? People that are listening, I'm hoping to acquire that real fan base, those steady listeners who are tuning in. For I have the big five on every episode with those 5 questions, because before we touched on everybody's different, people resonate with different topics. I just want good entrepreneurial stories of why you didn't give up in this situation. What was that adversity that was standing in your way, that boulder blocking you? What was it? How'd you get through it? I
Yeah,
mean, because in the beginning of entrepreneurship, once you start failing a few times, you're like, oh, these aren't failures, these are learning moments, but there's a lot of them. So I'm not going to get discouraged. But if you hear similar stories, it might help you overcome that little piece of adversity in the way.
yeah, and it can feel like being in a coma to start a business
Mm,
because me coming from a corporate background, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I went from having a boss to tell me, this is what you need to do. Here's kind of the strategic direction. You have to figure out a lot of that on your own. But
yeah.
coming into entrepreneurship, as you know, it's like I have 10 billion things that I could do, and nobody's letting me know what the right one is. And oftentimes it's not going to be the right one. So, I'm curious. I think you told me that you were getting your undergrad degree, right, when the accident happened. And
Yes.
then, through the recovery, through the rehabilitation, you actually went on pretty quickly to get your bachelor's and then ultimately your MBA as well.
Yeah, very, very lucky and blessed with the process. I had full year estimated recoveries. At first, it was I may not survive the initial night. Then the doubts all trickled down to I may never walk on my own, go to the bathroom on my own, talk again. All of these things eventually enabled me to adapt this tell me I can't and I will philosophy, where I'm going to just try. And if it doesn't work out, I tried. I went back to get my MBA that spring Maymester. I took that, those summer one,
Hmm.
summer
Oh
twos,
yeah,
earlys, and that was just a few months after my accident. My rehab was supposed to be a lot longer up with my family in New York, but I was just shattering these expectations because I learned the expectations are what somebody else thinks. That's somebody else's guidelines of what's going to happen. It's not what will happen. That's only up to you or me at that time. So
yeah,
just kind of kept breathing and eating that advice, philosophy, that lifestyle that it is entirely in my court. If I want something to happen, I have to do it myself.
yeah.
And I'm going to just do it and do it. And then it led me to the MBA program where I was lucky enough to be the commencement challenge speaker at graduation, had
Nice.
higher grades, even with a fresh traumatic brain injury. that I did in undergrad, because you kind of rewire. If you have a deficiency, a disability, something that's going to limit you for a little bit, you can't look at it like that. You have to just rewire your brain, kind of readapt to life and find another way to do it. I was a student who could read and study for 10, 20 minutes before a test back in high school, look at the notes, get an A or B. And then it became read, write, type over and over just to retain just a tenth of that information. But it makes you appreciate certain accomplishments, and you have to work a little harder, and it's all right. Gives you new life lessons
Yeah, and life's always throwing lessons at us. So
every
it's
time.
again, I have to just keep going back to your message of failure, giving up is not an option. If you just said if someone tells you you can't do this, you have to take that as a challenge and say, I bet you I can.
I think a great example of all that is Kobe Bryant, who just passed away. People that aren't as familiar with basketball, learning about his off the court character and what he was trying to accomplish. He was a big guy also, and just helping other people through your successes, help other people through your failures. And
Yeah,
I also believe something people forget is there's so much opportunity out there. You don't have to fight and compete with everybody else. Just stay on your own path, and just fight with yourself, compete with yourself, break your own goals. And I think you'll be pretty surprised of what's been going on if you
yeah,
just focus on yourself, tune out everybody else, and only good things can happen from it.
yeah. And it's like that kind of quote or the it may be even a cliche, but they say that comparison is the thief of joy. And going back to the social media, if we don't use it intentionally, it's really easy to see what everybody else is doing in their highlight reel and say, "Man, I suck. I just started this podcast and I only have 10 people watching me, or I have these live videos and we don't have any comments." But who cares? Like you got to keep going,
Yep.
and you'll get better and you'll get more engaging and engagement, because if you really enjoy what you're doing, like you obviously do,
Yeah.
it's going to just pay dividends. So that's
You hear that all the time about not comparing your chapter one to somebody else's chapter one, and it is cliche, but it is true. There are some situations where people may have had a faster path to graduation, less college debt, less family problems, less boyfriend girlfriend issues. Like, you can't. Everybody's battling different things, and it's going to happen if you keep working hard. I have thought a lot of things would be super quick. My book, I thought it'd be a 6-month process. Took 4 years to finally let go of my little baby to put it into the world. Everything's just a process, and when you finally embrace the process, literally more than just a thought, it will happen. I can't worry about how many views I have at the beginning of all my things, because it's a long-term thing. Trying to have a long-term show, long-term lunch break show. It's got to be. You got to put the bricks down on the floor before you can get to the top.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've read and I've seen the video, the law of success and law of attraction. Do you believe in things like that? Like, what's the correlation with the power of positive thinking and getting the results that you want?
I think positive thinking is everything. I think that progressed my recovery years, if not even more so. Everybody runs differently. I'm a structured person, but a full-time entrepreneur, where that's where my flexibility comes in. You're waking up, what's your first thing you're doing? Are you going to get exercise? I slack for a little bit, but the last few months I've been back with the bed made. First thing I do, have my water, banana, get my first hour and a half of work done. All positive thoughts, listening to positive things, podcasts. I'm interviewing people like we're doing right now every day. What should I get inspired from everybody else on the show? Just kind of just surrounding yourself with those thoughts. If you are in a depressing state or an environment where it's gonna drag you down, eventually you can't stay up forever. You have to find new ways to rejuvenate yourself, stay positive, because the endorphins from going to the gym or exercising, and what all the other, that's not my field, all those other things created from working out, they say it's just as important for your mental health as your physical health. And if your mental health is positive, your day is going to go longer, whether it's meditating or eating right or going to the gym. Just all things that this is your temple. You got to just feed it the right stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And like right now, I've been working from home. I'm in a new city. We moved here for my wife's job, which I love the city. Knoxville's awesome, but it's really cold. It's a lot different than Florida. And so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
in my basement office, it's freezing down here. So that's a you bring up a good point. Maybe I need to readjust my surrounding because your body's your temple, but your environment also affects your mental state. So
Yeah, when I visit my family up in New York in the winter, you were in long johns and thermals, and I'm happy because I'm getting spending time with my family. But as far as the weather, I'm not as a happy of mindset when I go outside and have to put a jacket on.
yeah. Well, my wife gets on to me. She's like, You're complaining about being cold, but you're wearing a t-shirt and shorts. Like, go put
Yeah,
on some clothes. This isn't Florida." But I think that your comments on you know exercise isn't just about lifting weights and becoming more strong, but it can actually release those brain chemicals. And it's the
yeah.
same chemicals that having a good conversation with someone has, or
Mhm.
eating some good food. So I think that we got to watch out for what we put in our minds, even
Right.
the media that we consume.
That's the biggest part of social media. With the mental health podcast, I'm doing more research, and something came up where the anxiety built off looking at your phone, the information overload you have when you log on to an Instagram, for example, and you're scrolling through, say, 20 pictures, all of that information just thrown at you. It's a lot of information to handle when you actually sit back and think about it. And then for the people who are doing the comparison thing we talk about, this can be a whole nother world. But I go to
Oh yeah,
sleep, that world's off. I'm on airplane mode. I don't want to wake. I don't want to think about anything. It's yeah,
it's tough. Yeah, and it's really what you focus on too, because there's a lot of different information out there,
yep.
and being overloaded with really stressful stuff can make you make you burn out. Like I've got to stop subscribing to the political stuff because it's so crazy, and I bring a lot of
That's
it
a
up
whole
on.
nother world of a day once you log on to what's with the impeachment and all that. But for me to stay on track with all those distractions, people have all the life distractions, the family and things we spoke about. But this is a whole
Mhm.
nother distraction. Before I go to bed, I kind of write down what I need to do in the morning. I don't have because I have a laundry list of things that I go through the day, then I prioritize. And at the end of the day, I'll write maybe the first 3 or 4 things I need to do, and then through some advice I learned using a web. You make a big circle and some other circles, because that way the list doesn't pile up. It doesn't give you
Mm.
anxiety with how much you have to accomplish, but just staying structured and organized. Where once I wake up, I have these 5 things I'm going to attack, and usually I attack those things faster and more efficient than if I wake up and wing it and I have my coffee and I'm slow with the emails, trying to
Yeah.
multitask too early in the morning.
So you're saying you actually compile your to-do list before you go to sleep? Kinda get it off your
In a
mind?
perfect world, obviously every day you can't do
Yeah.
that, but as much as I can, I try to be consistent with that. Something else referred to as like a gratitude journal. You wake up, instead of thinking all these things you don't have, you write down 2 or 3 things you are thankful for. Breathing, ability to be focused today, whatever have you, and you get on with your day. Just little things I've been trying to adapt and instill over time, kind of like taking new vitamins or something. It takes time to get the effects. So just
I like the gratitude vitamins. I need to eat those daily.
yeah, just through networking, I had someone, Dr. Lulu, on my mental health podcast, and we were talking, and she's like, "Yeah, I encourage people with this gratitude journal where you wake up, you write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Whether it's once a week, you do it at nighttime, in the morning, and you'll see how much better spirit you find yourself in." And it's true, because you can get distracted with a lot of things that keeps coming up, but if you just focus on the things that you need to do, the focus on the things that you're grateful for, sky's the limit, I think.
Yeah. Well, and being full of gratitude, and also, like you said, don't wear yourself down. I think that tip that you just mentioned of create a to-do web, create a to-do mind map, and not a to-do list, because there's been days when my
Mhm.
to-do list is impossible. Like
Some days
it's
it'll get 2 pages, because as an entrepreneur, you are doing every single thing yourself, whether it's the marketing, the advertising, the emails. What do you do? What are you picking first? What are you gonna get to? It's just kind of a trial and error, like we spoke about prior to.
yeah,
Everything's just learning, taking notes on how you can improve that process the next time. Keep it rolling.
yeah. Yeah, you gotta keep going, right? Failure is not an option. Giving up is not
And everybody got to
something you
just
can
take
do.
your break. You're gonna wear out because with the hours that we work, the happy 18-hour, 12 to 18-hour days, you have to find a break. I never want a break, even with exercise. I take a break off weights, I come back stronger. I end up
Yeah,
taking that afternoon off, even if I have so much to do. If I take the afternoon off, write it down, hit it in the morning, I feel more relieved. My eyes don't hurt as much from staring at a computer all day. I
yeah,
feel more confident because it gives me that confidence that next time I take the break, I'll be able to accomplish these great things again.
yeah. And I wrote a LinkedIn post the other day about um, giving yourself a break. Literally, like
Yeah.
we we think that you have this concept of an 8-hour day, and it's not really the case anymore because especially as entrepreneurs, even working in offices like a knowledge worker,
Yeah.
you don't turn off. When you go home, you have these pressing issues, or when you're done with your workday, you have these pressing issues that you've been working on that you haven't solved, and you're still working. Your brain is continually running through that stuff. So you have to find those opportunities throughout the day to say, I'm going to go walk outside. I'm going to call somebody that I enjoy talking to. I'm going to read a
Yep.
book. Um, and maybe I'll read. I need to read your book. So
Yeah.
where can I get my hands
Yeah.
on a copy of that?
I'm on Amazon. The book is called Left for Dead: A Story of Redemption, and it takes you through a first-hand account of. And it's an autobiography in a way because I need to introduce a foreign reader or someone who doesn't know me to who my character is, the things I do, the things I stand for, into the accident through my recovery. My mother kept a journal of the first 15 days or as much as she can because she had a lot on her mind, obviously. The
Yeah.
things I said, the things I did, everything I experienced, my physical therapy, my occupational therapy, my speech therapy. So if you've ever been in a situation in a hospital or you have a family member or friend who had some significant life transformative incident, spend some time there, the book will resonate with everybody because it's kind of really what happened. I talk about the horrible parts of a brain injury, how you hallucinate, can't separate dreams from reality. And then I talk about how I reshaped and rewired my life and structure to be effective, be efficient with these limitations, working my way up to speak at MBA commencement for my
Hmm.
University of Tampa graduation and
Go Bulls, right? I don't
USF.
even know if I did it right. I didn't go to USF, but my wife graduated from there.
Also in Tampa, though. But yeah, at the end of the day, I had these degrees. I thought my whole life I wanted this corner office with this finance degree and this MBA, this huge, huge salary, and that would make me feel good. And then I started doing it, and it kind of wasn't what I expected as far as quality of life, commuting to work, the 9 to 5, and then not having time to work on myself. Eventually, once the book was nearing end, it was full-time entrepreneur time. And I thought that was the end, but it was kind of just the beginning as the doors had opened with the podcast. And now we're working on 2 kids' books because I'm going to speak to elementary schools, trying to
Oh, that's
relate with
awesome.
them. Yeah, just never
I have to
stop.
get a copy of that too for my daughter. What's the
Yeah,
age range on those?
I'm trying to do a kindergarten or pre-K to third grade and then a third to sixth, and then
Nice.
eventually, make a middle age book, but one at a time, couple
Yeah,
at a time.
keep me
Yeah,
updated on that because I'd love to get a copy for my little one.
absolutely.
I want to keep her, pumping her with the positivity and the gratitude and the message of never give up. It's I think for kids these days they're coming into a world where social media is the norm. Since she was two, or she's two now, but since she was one, she knows how to scroll on the phone. I guess she
Oh, they're
mimics
smarter
our
than us.
behavior.
I wasn't born
Yeah,
with a cell phone. I had a cell phone. I think they came out when I was in middle school, and the middle
yeah,
school, maybe high school, and
yeah.
now, yeah, man,
She's
crazy.
gonna be, learning to code like I was learning to type. So
Yeah, my
I'm
friends that have kids are at least. I'm like, they're teaching me to do things. They're 5, 6 years old. I'm
yeah.
like, okay,
Well, yeah, it's a whole new world out there, Vincent.
absolutely.
So I know we're up on our time. We've had a great 30-minute break
That
today.
was quick. That was quick, just like
Yeah,
that.
it sneaks up on you. But
Yeah.
I want to leave the viewers, the people that may view this later, with some words. So what's your number one message that you want to get out there? What's the Vincent A. Lanci word of advice that you want everybody to walk away with?
I think it's judging from our conversation, you may have guessed, but tell me I can't and I will. You should adopt that philosophy because you see life things that happen every day. People die from extreme rarity. Kobe Bryant, this is so recent, you can't get it out of your head where someone not too much older than me died in a helicopter crash where life after basketball, he was accomplishing all these things with children's books as well, helping his daughter through basketball, being a family man. If you have a passion project, I'm not saying you have to jump full-time entrepreneur like us, but it might be time to actually make a move on it. Don't let it die out as we die. Put your dreams to the pedal, and you never know what could happen. You might find that it takes off like a rocket ship because there are some entrepreneurs who get some quick luck and quick opportunity at the right of the way, good connections, because it only takes one. You share your story, share your ideas with one person. That one person can change your life. May have been scared of the DM, scared of the cold call, but if you didn't take that chance and that one person didn't have the opportunity to save your life, you'd still be in the same seat wondering, when am I going to take that chance? Just follow your dreams because it is very satisfying. Even if the money isn't right up front, as it does come in and as the dream does get bigger, the the feeling is twice as good, I promise.
Oh yeah, I'm still waiting for that feeling. But no, I actually
Oh, I'm nowhere
I've gotten
near. I'm
it.
still at the baby steps, man. I'm looking forward to upcoming year, end of next year, getting the calendar that
Oh
much more
yeah,
filled, getting that many more great guests on my podcast series, and who knows what the next that type of project is after the kids book. So it's just all about working hard, and eventually something will give because I'm still here and I want to be all the way up here. And how much
yeah.
time it's going
It's
to
all
take some
about
time.
hitting those milestones
This
and
dream's only been 5 or 6 years in, and I hope it goes for my whole life. So there's a lot of work to do, and I'm excited.
yeah. Well, anything I can do to support you, anything the viewers can do, like you
Likewise,
said, it's all
Alex,
about
always.
connecting. Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate
likewise,
that, and
likewise.
enjoy the rest of your lunch break. Make sure you take some time for yourself. Make sure everybody that's watching, don't forget to take a lunch break. And until next time, I'll see you later, Vincent. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.